Winter outlooks can provide a helpful upper hand when entering into the snow season.
This year, Storm Team 8 has identified several key forecast drivers and a big wild card that will impact our winter ahead.
When it comes to winter, it's always kind of nice to have a little bit of an upper hand. That's why we take time with Storm Team 8 to come up with what we think the upcoming winter is going to look like. This coming winter is going to be a little bit of a tricky one, but there are some strong signals, especially for December. To talk more on that, we'll send it over to Sarah.
One of the first things that we look at is what the eastern Pacific temperatures are doing, which has an impact on what happens here in West Michigan. You've probably heard of La Nina or El Nino. We are in a weak La Nina as of September. That's expected to hold true at least through the month of December. And when this happens, the jet stream shoots off to our south, typically poses a cooler and wetter winter across the Great Lakes region. But it's not that simple. If we just take a look back at past weak La Nina years, the most recent, 2022 to 2023, over 100 inches of snow. But look, 2016 to 2017 only had 59 inches. So we'll focus in on the month of December. We have a bit more certainty around that month. 7 of 11 years had snowier than average Decembers, with an average snowfall of 30 inches. Now, 2 of those years were the record snowiest Decembers, anywhere from 2000 and 2008, hovering around 54 to 59 inches. And there is a huge variability that takes place, anywhere from 3.7 to 59.2 inches. But we are expecting December to be a snowy month. Very well could have a white Christmas. We'll focus over to Matt more on the temperatures.
And chances are that snow is not going to melt. Check out this correlation. When there's a weak La Nina in December, over 90% of those Decembers end up below average, with an average, when you tally all those weak La Nina years up, it's over 4 degrees below average. And the second and third coldest Decembers on record were actually during a weak La Nina. Now, after December, it gets a little more dicey, a little trickier. I think the key is in the northern Pacific. When we have this bubble of warmer temperatures in the north central Pacific, if we can get that to migrate into the Gulf of Alaska, there's a strong teleconnection that would place a deep trough across the Great Lakes and also the north central plains. What that would mean for us is colder than average temperatures and more snow once we get beyond December. Obviously, that is something Storm Team 8 will closely monitor.
The last few winters, lake effect has really helped to save our snow totals. To do a deeper dive on that, we've got Blake Harms.
Yeah, that's right, Ellen. It's been pretty interesting to look at the numbers over the last 3 winters to see how our snowfall has stacked up across the Midwest. We've seen 95% of our average snowfall combining the last 3 winters. That's much better than our neighbors to the west and to the south. Milwaukee has seen just 79% of their average snowfall. Chicago's seen just 52%, and South Bend and Detroit are both below 70%. What that means is a large portion of our snow has been in the form of lake effect, even more so than usual. So while our neighboring communities have seen less snow in general, we've been saved by that lake effect component. As we head into this winter, it does look like the storm track is going to be more active. That would favor more in the way of system snow, which would help level out that lake effect component a bit. In the last years we've looked at, similar years, there's actually been above average snowfall across the Great Lakes in most of those. That would mean, again, an active storm track for us. That means we're likely to see a more even mix of that lake effect snow and that system snow. Of course, when that polar vortex takes a visit, that means more lake effect for us, Scott.
That's right, Blake. We could start off winter with a bang as we continue into the month of December. There's a good likelihood that we'll continue to hold on to that weak La Nina, and that favors a more active storm track as we have the polar vortex disrupted. That looks to bring in more cold air, more snow, a greater likelihood also of a white Christmas. So, of course, we'll continue to track that potential as we close in on the big day. But continuing to watch that as we continue into the start of the winter. Overall, over the past few months, you can see that we've had those cooler than average sea surface temperatures in the eastern Pacific. There is a signal, though, that as we get into the start of 2026, the signal becomes less clear as we have a return out of La Nina toward more of a neutral pattern.
So with all that to consider, here are the big takeaways. What's most likely this winter? Snowier than usual December. It's not a guarantee, but it really looks like trends are leaning that way. In addition, it looks like lake effect might actually come to play this year, and we could see some solid system snows on top of that. Finally, it looks like winter shouldn't be lingering into April and May. Very good chance that it's actually expected to wrap on time, at the very least, the end of March. Now, the biggest wild card that's going to keep us busy this winter, the fact that January and February, there are no clear steering trends. That means all these secondary variables will come to play over West Michigan and battle it out for our day-to-day forecast. Remember, no matter what happens, Storm Teammate is going to be with you every step of the way and every flake that falls.